Hello everyone, my name's Cole and welcome back to another Minecraft video. Today we're going to continue working on our large ship carrier that we've been working on for the past few weeks, and specifically we're going to work on this top part of the ship right here. So this is going to be where the crew quarters are, as well as the mess hall, entertainment areas, and the main bridge for the ship. Before we get into that though, I'm going to give you an update on the work that I've done since the last video. Where we left off last time, we had just the front part of this carrier here done, as well as some layout work on the back. So since that time, I've gone and I've extended this front part of the ship by about 4 or 5 blocks. The front of the ship was really just looking a bit too stubby for my liking, so I extended it out a little bit forward, and then because I did that, I also had to apply a bit more of a taper right here, and then adjust this taper that's up here. The way that it originally looked, it was just a bit too harsh in the lines, so I've smoothed it out a little bit up here. I've also taken some time and tapered this spot down right here. Where we left last time, we just had the bottom part of the ship and it was completely smooth, so I've added in a smooth taper here below, and in there is a 3-block tall gap where we can hide all of our command blocks so we can do the effects of this door opening and closing, as well as all the doors in the crew quarters as well. I've also adjusted this spot right here. This was pretty much where we left it off last time. Was these sections here were all pretty much straight, so I've gone through and I've added in a taper along this line right here, as well as underneath and on top, on both inside and outside of the ship, and then pulled it back right here. Now, when we also left this spot right here, I was thinking about putting in an overlook area where people could look out, similar to what was in the Destiny ship in Stargate Universe. But I decided against that because there really wasn't a whole lot of room to be able to put that in, and I needed to reduce the scale of the ship and pull the ship in instead of being tall, like coming up. I'll show you here. Instead of being like tall and then tapering in, I've decided to do the taper right here, and then we can put maybe build that part of the ship into another spot, because it was really just getting in, just being a little bit too big. So I've extended the hangar pretty much the entire length of the ship. We do need to add engineering onto the back, but this is what the outside hull is primarily going to look like. Now, I am going to add in other things. I'm potentially going to be putting in some windows along in here. There's certainly going to be guns that are up along here. And I was also thinking that I could put in like a little landing pod area, either up here or at the back somewhere, but a spot where other ships can come and land on the ship with an access hatch that gets you into the main craft. So yeah, it's not going to look completely flat and completely gray in the future. It's kind of like when you're building large things like this, you lay down a lot of block work, and then you come back and add modifications to it so it doesn't look as monotonous. All right, so I'll show you inside the hangar here, just to kind of show you what we're looking at as far as space goes. So this is the configuration that we're going to go with. Now, it is light in here. What I did, a little trick you can do with World Edit, when you can update a large portion of area and with a transparent block. So I changed this entire top part to glass, and then undid the change, and that doesn't do lighting updates. But if I were to break one of these blocks or place one down, this entire area would update and become dark. So just a little trick that you can do with World Edit. If you're building something big and you need to see inside of it, you can do that. So we're going to go with these with this sort of configuration, enough space for 4 large ships. These ships are going to be reconfigured to be warships, so we're going to put guns and cannons and such on them. And then in all these kind of little areas right here, we're going to put in several like single-man fighter-style jet ships, so potentially 2 or 3 along here on each side of the ship, and then several others all throughout here. So we'll probably be able to fit, I'm not sure, maybe 20 or 30 total ships inside this area. So this is going to be quite the big it's going to be able to carry quite a few ships, so that's pretty exciting. And then, of course, I mentioned earlier, this back part of the ship will get a little bit of extra area, and then we'll be able to throw engineering back in here. Down here is the space that I mentioned. So just this whole area goes up the entire length of the ship, and then this will have the command blocks here for the opening and closing of the main force field at the front, and then we'll use this for the main doors inside the quarters that we're going to work on up here. All right, so let's head up here now. So this is the area that we're going to be working on. I've done a little bit of work, just more so positioning where along the ship that I wanted the crew quarters and bridge area to start, and I think I've decided on right about here. I might move it back a little bit, but it's going to depend on the configuration of the inside of the space. All I've really done is just kind of laying a little bit of foundation. I haven't actually given much thought to what I want this to look like or what the room layouts are going to be. But what I do know is that I want the rooms to be, when you're inside of them, for the glass to be on the floor and then to have 3 blocks tall. So we can go in, and I think I want this to be 2, maybe 3 stories tall. So I'm going to go and lay down some blocks and we'll make it 3 stories tall. So let's do that right now. Actually, we don't want it right there because I'm going to want to have a bit of a taper. So why don't we pull it back maybe 4 blocks? 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. And we'll just pull this back and see what it looks like. So like a kind of a floor on each of those areas. So we'll see what that taper looks like. Yeah, that might look okay. And then we can still have this kind of like circle taper. So if we put like another spot there and kind of come up like this, you can see about getting that to work. So let's see what that looks like. Yeah, maybe. Okay. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to kind of just build out this area a little bit and get a shell of what the 3 floors are going to look like. And then once I have that in place, I'll come back with you and we'll work on the layout of what the rooms are going to look like. So I'll catch you in just a moment. All right, so it's been a couple hours now, and I've fully fleshed out what I want the upper part of the hull to look like with the crew quarters here. And this is the design that I decided to go with. Now, I know it doesn't fully look like your traditional style spaceship or even similar to anything that I've done so far in the past, but the more that I was building this ship, the more that it started to resemble like an ancient palace, like one that like sprawls out over the countryside or over a hill or whatever. So the more that I built it, the more that I liked it, and I think that this is the style that I'm going to go with overall. And I think it does fit with the rest of the build pretty well. We'll have to make some modifications probably to a few other areas to accommodate some of it, but yeah, overall I'm pretty happy with it. I decided to go with a dome for the top part instead of a 3rd floor. I was originally going to put the bridge inside of it, but once I let me get inside here, I'll show you. But once I kind of popped inside, this area really just screams like, make me a hydroponics bay. So I think that's what we're going to do. I'm going to fill this full of gardens and trees and all that stuff like that. And yeah, I think it'll look pretty cool once it's done. Now, whether this area remains entirely as one glass dome or whether I kind of break it up with some like strapping over top of the glass or support beams or whatever, we'll have to kind of see what it looks like once we get there. But yeah, I'm pretty happy and pretty excited about this part of the build. Now, the one thing that we will need to make an adjustment to is these inside floors right here. When I originally built it, I built it to be 3 blocks tall. But as you can feel, it just looks and feels too cramped inside of here. So we actually need to modify this right now. And the good thing is that we're using World Edit, so we can actually make those changes really easily. And yeah, we don't have to kind of redo everything. Because if we made this mistake, and we were just using creative mode, we would have to basically wipe the entire top part of this build and start over from scratch. But luckily, we don't have to do that. So the way that we do that, I've kind of laid out my blocks right here. We'll select this one, and we'll fly back around to the rear part of the ship, and we'll select another one that I've set up. So right there, and then we need to expand it to encompass the whole ship. So 30 should do it. Oops, sorry. We need to go 30 up. And we'll verify. Yep, that's good. And we want to raise it by 1 block. So we'll do copy. We're not going to do a cut because we do want to retain the 1 block below. And then we'll go up. And then we'll do a paste. And it's going to take a little bit because it's a very, very large area that we just adjusted. So we'll wait on it. And when this is done, this will make our first floor here 4 blocks tall instead of 3, which you can see right here. Oops. I don't know why I did that. We can fly. Either way. So yeah, it makes it a 3 tall block, or 3, the glass windows are 3 blocks tall, and then we've got an additional level of height on there. All right, and then we want to do the same for right here. So we'll come up to this level right here, I think is where we want to be. Yep, that's right. And we'll come down here. We'll do the same thing that we just did. Do our copy, go up one block, and then paste. And then we'll wait again a bit for it as well, again, because it's a large area and it takes a bit of time for the computer to process it. There we go. Yeah, and there we have it. So now we're 4 blocks tall in these areas instead of just 3. So we were able to accomplish that in, what, less than a minute? Less than 2 minutes, as opposed to ripping it down and starting over from scratch. So like even if we built this whole area in creative mode, this would take us, like, it would take me probably 2 or 3 days to do, and then to have to rip it down and start over again. It would be insane. So yeah, I think that looks pretty good. The dimensions still look pretty good. It's not overbearing or overarching for the rest of the ship. Yeah, so that's pretty good. All right, so now let's go inside here, and we need to start laying out the what the inside of the ship's going to look like. So let's go ahead and do that now. All right, so we'll start with this floor. We're basically going to make these 2 floors mirror images of each other. And we're going to follow a similar design to what we did on my original carrier. We'll put the rooms along the outside, as well as the mess hall and bridge towards the front, and then the middle part will be like the entertainment style rooms. So I'm gonna make a quick cut right here, and I'll be back once I've had a chance to think about this for a little bit, and then I'll come back and show you what I'm generally thinking for the layout design. So we'll be back in just a moment. All right, and this is the layout that I think we're going to go with for the interior of the ship. So we're up here on the 2nd floor. This entire area up here is going to be for the bridge, and we're going to have the captain's office here on this side and a little conference room over on that side. I haven't fully decided what I want this center area to be. I was originally thinking it would be a med bay, but that doesn't make a whole lot of sense for it to be that close to the bridge. And I was also planning on putting the captain's quarters right here and the first officer's quarters over on this side. And I really don't think that it makes sense really for the captain to be that close to the med bay. This right here will be an elevator that takes you between the 3 floors, so the hydroponics bay above and the 1st floor down below. So I'm not sure. But I still have to work out what I want this room to be. I may end up making it little like officers' quarters, so single bunk units that are much smaller than the first officer and the captain's quarters. But that I haven't decided. Down here, I was originally thinking, like, one of the problems that we're having with the ship now is that there's not really enough space for crew quarters, so that's going to have to be figured out. I was originally thinking that we would put like bunks down in here in these rooms here along the side, but they're not really well designed for that. They're kind of long, like with the windows on one side, and I just really don't think that aesthetically that's going to look all that great. So I'm going to have to do some more work on it, probably off camera. I'll have to try out a bunch of different things and see what I like and see what sticks. But I think generally this is at least the room layout that I want to go with. So one of the differences between the 2 floors is these hallways on each side are 4 blocks wide, whereas up here in the bridge area, like the main operations center of the ship, they're 5 wide, and that just gives a bit more, like it distinguishes the floors a little bit better, I feel. We'll obviously put in different colors between the 2 floors, but I like in my operations area to have like a wider, less cramped looking feel to them. So down here, I haven't decided on what I want this room to be. I was originally thinking that this could be like the hologram area, or not the hologram, sorry, the holodeck area, but I think I'm going to put that down beside engineering. So this will probably turn into just kind of like a lounge area. Right here will be the kitchen. With a little a large walk-in freezer because it's a large ship, so that'll be right here. This again is our elevator to take us to where we need to go. Either to the floors above, and actually we'll need to tie into the hangar down below. And then this whole front area up in here that wraps around is going to be the mess hall. So we may have some lounge areas on the side, or it may just be full of tables. And then we've got a nice view up over here. So. As I said, there's still a lot of areas that need to be fleshed out, so we'll have to do that off camera. It'll be a problem for a different day. We still need to, or rather I still need to extend this ship. I probably need to go back about another 10, 15 or so blocks to get an appropriate taper on here, and then that should give us enough space for main engineering, and then the holodeck areas that are probably going to be on the side. So we'll have to see how that goes, but that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you do like it, and if you're enjoying this build, just let me know, and I appreciate it. And thanks for sticking around. Have a good day. Take care.